Welcome back to another episode of Expats in Ukraine with your host, me, Corrie. Today, my guest, he is a French correspondent. His name is Joseph Roche.
Joseph Roche.
Joseph Roche.
But you can say the way you want.
Joseph Roche.
Sounds good.
No, I tried to do the French accent. I really like it. You know, Joseph Roche.
Joseph Roche. Yeah, you do it well. You do it well.
Yeah, because I was like in France for like about a month. And whenever I would meet French girls and they say, "What's your name?" I say, "It's Corrie." They go, "Corrie? Corrie? Corrie?" Oh, I sounded so cute, man. You're going to make me fall in love with you, man. Be careful.
Yes, about that.
Corrie, ça va? Anyways, but okay. Have you seen like one of my episodes before?
Yes, I did. The one with Ignatius.
Ignatius, yeah, really good guy. But yeah, so that was before I started doing this. So I like to do some icebreaker at the beginning of like my episodes. So basically, it'll be like a this or that kind of thing, just so people can understand the real Joseph Roche.
Please do.
Okay, so I'll give you two options: Eiffel Tower or Batkivshina Mati.
Wow, what is the second time?
Batkivshina Mati. It's like the Iron Lady statue here in Kyiv.
Oh yeah. Like the statue of the motherland, as I say.
Yeah.
Let's go for this one.
Okay, the motherland statue. Okay, next, wine or vodka?
Wine.
I'm
sorry, guys.
That's French, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, Swiss Alps or Carpathians?
Oh gosh, this one is hard. I will go for Carpathian, to be honest, because it's more authentic and less Russians.
Less Russians, I can imagine, bro.
And cheaper.
And way cheaper, bro. I can't afford to climb that mountain over there in Switzerland. Okay, and last question. Geneva or Kyiv?
Kyiv. Yeah.
Okay, and then you live in Geneva, right?
Actually, Kyiv with the Geneva Lake.
The Geneva Lake,
and I think it would be the best city in the world.
Yeah, I've been to Switzerland, but I've never been to Geneva. What's it like there?
Boring and expensive, but you have a wonderful lake, wonderful view. You have a lot of international people that think maybe that they are going to change the world by drinking overrated spritz in overrated restaurants. But no, I'm teasing them. Despite that, great people, very international. You can get around without speaking a word of French, I guess. But what is beautiful is more like the nature around and the lake. That's why I'm saying like Kyiv with the Geneva Lake. I mean, like if the Dnipro was as clean as the Geneva Lake, that would be like Kyiv would be like best city above all the cities of the world, because the city is already wonderful in itself.
Yeah, I've been to Switzerland once, and it was like in 2015 or something like this, and I actually flew from Lviv to Zurich.
Oh wow,
and it was like a huge change, man. I was like in the center of Lviv, spending like $2 for like a meal or something like this, and then I go to Zurich to meet a friend. And I'm spending like 15, 18 francs just for one cocktail.
I'm going to tell you, just like the fact of flying from Lviv to Zurich, for me, science fiction now. Now, traveling all over Poland, no.
I hate getting out and coming into Ukraine. This is such a hassle every time. It's like,
it is.
Yeah, because after the war, I moved briefly to Portugal, and I'd come back every 3 months. And from going from Portugal to Kyiv, it's just like a 24-hour, sometimes more.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I've never been to. Because like the first time I got to Ukraine, it was before the war, and I thought it was very romantic to take the train, because I thought I would become some kind of, I don't know, writer from the 19th century traveling all over Europe by train. Yeah. And now I do regret highly this decision, because it means that I never used or took a plane to go to Ukraine. And since now I've been to, I live here, but I just do back and forth once in a while. I never took a plane to go to Ukraine. For me, I don't know. Like the day they reopened the airport, I think I'm going to be the first one in line. Like saying, I want to Kyiv, Geneva right now. And I think if I do that in 3 hours, I think I'm going to have some kind of mind backlash in my, like not going to understand what happened to me.
Yeah.
Like third dimension.
Like I said, it's like almost like science fiction now.
For me, science fiction. That's literally science fiction.
Yeah, I still have like stamps in my passport that have, Kyiv entry stamps, and it has like the little airplane in the corner. I'm like, oh, now it's just a bunch of trains.
I just have like Medicap Shamish,
Yeah.
Shein,
Yeah, but okay, I'll ask you like the question you probably get asked a lot. Why are you in Ukraine?
So I came for the first time in Ukraine in 2021. And at first I was very interested into the region, the history of the region. Although, being French, I think we're growing up because I wanted to become a journalist. And so usually we're looking after, great journalists. And the great journalists back in the time were the journalists working in the Middle East. Plus, I'm from Jewish origin. I used to live in Israel, so I was very interested in the history of the Middle East. But eventually, it's just like I started to get really interested in around 2020 about Ukraine, Poland, Russia, not really Russia, but Belarus and countries as such. Also because of the Jewish history, which is very rich here in Ukraine.
Yeah, Uman, right?
Yeah, actually, I covered Uman, and I'm writing also about the Jews from Odessa. So I really like these kind of topics.
Can you explain why there's some significance in the Jewish community about the city of Uman? I know like someone died there or something, or someone was buried there.
Actually, you have the grandson of the founder of Hasidism, which is one branch of Judaism, which is very influential.
The one with the curls?
Yeah, not the curls, but the hat, the big hat, let's put it that way. The big hat, it's like a branch of Judaism, which is called Hasidism. The movement was created in the 17th century-ish in Ukraine. And the grandson of this rabbi who created, so the Baal Shem Tov who created the Hasidism, eventually moved to Uman. No, he did not move to Uman, actually. He was just all over the place, but he wanted to be buried in Uman because there you had a great, like a big pogrom that happened, I don't remember at what time, because the Jews, they refused to convert it to Christianity. And he said, because they refused, their blood is very holy, and so I'm going to get buried there. And since it became like a place for pilgrimage, pretty much for a lot of, not only Hasidic Jews, for Jews of all kinds.
Yeah, is it like a pilgrimage like one time a year? Or
one time a year for the Jewish New Year.
Yeah.
It's like in 1 week, 2 weeks.
In 1 week? Yeah. You gonna go?
No, because I'll be in Geneva and already did twice. Okay. I had enough of it, although it would be very interesting to link it to October 7th, because it will be right after, like pretty much at the same time of the first year of anniversary of October 7th. Okay. So journalistically speaking, it would have been interesting, but no, I'm going to celebrate my birthday because I was born on October 5th. So I'm going to be 30.
30?
So
wow.
Yeah, I don't really like to celebrate my birthday, but since I don't see my folks quite a lot, I think it's just like a opportunity to gather everyone at home.
Yeah, actually, I'm having a birthday at the end of this month. Will you be in town?
Maybe September.
Yeah, 28th. Yeah, so I'm doing like this charity fundraiser. Like if you can make it, I would love to invite you.
I'll see if I can make it, but I don't know if I think either I will be in the east, either I will be in the plane. I need to check my schedule, but I'll let you know.
Yeah, but either way, like I'll be. I mean, by the time this airs, it'll be past my birthday already. But yeah, I'm fundraising for it's the 25th Airborne Brigade.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah, and I guess they're in the Pokrovsk direction.
They are actually.
Yeah.
I think they're the one I'm going to visit. Actually, I need to check with my fixer, but I think they're the one I'm going to visit.
Because one of my guy friends, he has this NGO. It's called Ukrainian Relief Fund.
Yeah.
And he's actually collecting money for my birthday event, the charity event, and we're sending it to the 25th Airborne Brigade. I don't know anybody there personally.
Send me the moto bank anyway.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. But yeah, I'm going to post it like on social media as well.
Awesome.
I'm going to have like a raffle. So a lot of my guests that come on, very interesting people, and ask them if they can donate something for this raffle. So I'm going to have it like online and offline and have 2 of everything. So basically, Sean Pinner, you know Sean Pinner? He's this guy, he got captured in Mariupol from the UK. Anyways, he wrote a book.
Yes. Yeah, he one of the guy who was trialed.
Yeah, exactly. In DNR,
okay.
yeah. So he wrote a book, Live, Fight, Survive.
Nice.
Yeah, great book. I just started it. And anyway, so he's going to sign a couple, and then we're going to raffle it off like at my birthday as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
That's a really cool event. So if you want to donate something, a French article, you can sign.
I will do. Definitely. I'd love to.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so when did you first come to Ukraine, by the way?
So we got carried away. So I was very interested in the region, and the thing is, like back then, I wanted to read news about Ukraine, and I did not speak Russian, I did not speak Ukrainian, and so I just stumbled into English-speaking media, and one of them was Ukraine World, and it turns out that I was starting to send messages to people who were working there because I wanted to become a journalist, very interested in Ukraine, and it turned out that I started to talk with this journalist called Irina Matviishin, and we started to talk for journalistic purpose. And then it was COVID. We were confined at home. Then the COVID, between 2 confinement, I just took a train, as I said, went to Ukraine. At first, I just wanted like to travel, Lviv, Jewish kind of pilgrimage stuff, but also Kyiv and Odessa. And when I was in Kyiv, I offered Irina to go for a coffee, and since then we never really left each other. And now she's my girlfriend.
Whoa.
Yeah, my serious girlfriend, as we say. And then I went back home. We started a relationship,
long distance,
online, long distance relationship. And when the war started, she was a fixer here in Ukraine for American media. She was in Kyiv. I was in Geneva. And then the war started. I was just finishing one contract with one company back then in Geneva. So I was not able to leave right away, but I arrived 1st of April actually in Ukraine. And since then, I never really left. And that's how I first got in Ukraine. First, I was not really a journalist. I wanted to become a journalist, but I did not know much about, because no one in my family are working in media. And in France, it's pretty, it's like every kind of journalism, we're freelancers. And I did not know that you have to start as a freelancer. I thought you are staffed and you work. So no, I just started as a volunteer with one French NGO. And then I started to pitch articles. Then I started to sell articles. I worked also briefly for the Kyiv Independent as a social media manager. But on the side, I was pretty much freelancing all the time. Yeah. And then when I had a stable freelancing income, I just quit Kyiv Independent and started to work for my own.
So you know Toma then, right? Toma Istomina?
Yeah, I know
great.
her.
Yeah,
I know her pretty well.
She's great, yeah. When I was doing that project with Kyiv Independent, so we were working closely.
Yeah, she was my manager, I guess. She was my N+1 when I was working there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no, I really like the, we talked about this before. Kyiv Independent, they're young. I really like, how creative they are. No, I really like the vibe, But
yeah, they are a great team for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And they're really well respected too.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people that work at Kyiv Independent, they're very proud to work there.
Very much so. No, they have wonderful team, wonderful journalists. Yeah. The team is really amazing. Many friends of mine are still working there, actually.
Yeah, friends at both, Kyiv Independent, also Kyiv Post. But there's a lot of controversy around Kyiv Post, I guess, these days.
Yes, still do. Always been since they've been bought by
that one guy,
this guy. I don't remember the name. But at the same time, I think Kyiv Post to some extent also they are doing a good job as well. I don't know them very well, but they have they have good content, I would say.
It's quality.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I follow both. I would say that I'd rather like to follow Kyiv Independent. They have a great news desk.
Yeah.
They have a great journalist, great news desk. So yeah, they're great.
Okay. So before we take a deep dive into why you're in Ukraine and what you're doing here exactly, let's talk about what you were doing before. So you have a very complicated kind of upbringing. You were born in Belgium.
Yeah.
And then you moved to Geneva and you're French. Can you explain all this?
So no, actually it's a pretty simple story. My dad used to work for an American company who was based in Brussels.
Okay.
So I was born and raised in Brussels my whole life. I studied until my master in Brussels. I studied history and law. I don't know why law, to be honest.
Don't know.
Still figuring out. It was a lot of work for not a lot of result, but whatever. I learned how to become a journalist like this, working a lot for not a lot of results.
There it is, man.
And then also before that, I lived in Israel for about 2.5 years because I wanted to become a rabbi. Long story as well. Then I just got back university. Then I went to study international relations in Geneva. Started to work. The thing is, I finished a lot of people. I finished when COVID started.
Yeah.
So you did not have a lot of job opportunities back then. So it was quite complicated. So I just had short-term contract here and there. Then I worked 1 year-ish for a company called Oxford Analytica. And actually the job was great there because they were just giving me newspaper in Arabic, and I had to translate all of them, and just then making some kind of daily, weekly media screening of. It's super old-fashioned nowadays. I don't think that they are doing that like this, but I think it was the end of the era where we did not have yet, AI whatsoever, to treat data whatsoever. I think we used to have, but they just gave me newspaper from Egypt, from.
How many languages do you speak?
Well, I speak a lot of languages, but very bad, all of them.
Ukrainian's not that bad. I was listening,
yeah. Good French, English.
Good French.
French is the best. English can be better, still make mistakes. Then Hebrew pretty well. Pretty much like English, I would say. Arabic, classical Arabic, up to B2. I read pretty well. Speaking is fine. Writing, I don't know how to write, to be honest. If you ask me to write an essay in Arabic, I think I'm dead. And listening, classical Arabic, yes. Then dialects, I would say dialect. I know bit of Palestinian, bit of Syrian,
Okay.
But actually, I speak classical. They understand, and they speak to me in Palestinian or Jordanian or whatsoever.
Why do you consider yourself French then? If you were born in Brussels, are your parents French? And
yeah, my parents are French. Culture is French. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, there is no much difference between
like southern Belgium and France.
Yeah, I mean, like French-speaking Belgium. I mean, of course, it's different. It's different. It's like a different country, different nation. But deep inside, we speak the same French. We have the same culture-ish. I mean, a lot of Belgium would kill me if I was if I was saying so. But to me, is we are very close. And then grew up with the literature, grew up with the French culture. So I guess I feel very French. For that matter, but my girlfriend is always mocking me, saying I never lived in France, which is true.
Yeah.
One day I will. One day,
you'll return to the motherland.
when I retreat by the sea in Montpellier or Marseille, maybe not Marseille, but Montpellier for sure. Yes,
Montpellier.
Montpellier would be great.
But okay, so when you were studying, or even before then, what did you know about Ukraine?
Not much.
Yeah, not much. Yeah,
no,
exactly.
like France, like French culture, because in Belgium, France, Switzerland, we pretty much have the same curriculum. Well, in Geneva, I studied in international university, so we spoke only English. But I think we have this issue in France with this admiration for Russia. We have this strong Russophily.
Really?
So we always study everything through the lens of Moscow. So we studied, of course, like general history, the history of Ukraine through the lens of Moscow, like, the Kievan Rus, Odessa is a Russian city, Ukraine is not pretty much a country that exists, things like this. But, it was like very general history because we were not like, it's not like I did not study like Slavic studies. Actually, I studied like Arabic studies. But I guess if you were taking like maybe more in-depth Slavic studies, they would dive into the differences whatsoever. But general history was pretty much about, we thought that Gogol was Russian. We thought that Isaac Babel was Russian. We thought that Vasily Grossman was Russian. So we have this very strong Russification and Russophilia that we have in France that did not bring much awareness about Ukraine. And for us, Ukraine was part of Russia, did not really existed. We did not know much about it. Actually, it was more ignorance than anything else. We just did not know about it.
Yeah.
But myself, since I was very interested into the Jewish history, I started like to learn a lot. Isaac Bashevis-Singer, Isaac Babel, all those writers were like bringing the idea of Ukraine in their writings. So I had this mere idea of what Ukraine was, but it's really only when I really started to get interested in the region that I had to start everything from scratch, reading like Gate of Europe from, I don't remember the name of the guy is going to come back, but like general history of Ukraine. And that's how pretty much that the reason why we did not know much about Ukraine. So no, I did not know much before really starting to get interested in.
Yeah, that's super interesting to hear. Like I never really thought about that because in the US, we're very kind of anti-Russia.
No, we are too, but
our history at least.
Yeah,
because of Cold
definitely.
War and stuff like this. So they teach you kind of like from this lens,
Yeah, but we have in France, it's like quite weird because we are very leftist by heart. Trust me, when it comes to money, we're quite liberal. We just like to pretend, we like to speak about revolution in our bourgeois appartement of the 16e arrondissement. We love like to pretend that we're communists when we're just not. So we have this fascination for Soviet Union, fascination for Russia. Still today, if you hang out in Paris, Geneva, Brussels, you will see like hammer and sickle all over the place. You have places like in Paris called Stalingrad. So, I mean, of course, like we are taking that in the context of Soviet Union fighting against the Nazis, whatsoever.
Yeah.
So we have, in one hand, the fascination through Russian culture, Russian literature, like Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Bulgakov, and all of them about Imperial Russia. On the other hand, about Soviet Union. So all of that make the idea of Ukraine very hard to exist in the mind of French. And I think French only woke up to Ukraine in 2022, because even like Maidan, we did not speak much about it. It was not like, of course, like media spoke about it, but it was not such a big thing in France. we were speaking about separatists in Donbass. A lot of them still speak about separatists in Donbass. Some people still today on in French media are arguing whether or not we should not, give up Donbass or Odessa because, down the road it's Russian. You know what I'm saying? So you still have this strong Russophilia, and you have media who are actually completely financed by the Kremlin, who are still having quite a lot of readership in France. Plus, we have political parties who are completely aligned with the Kremlin. So
it's like Le Pen, right?
Yeah, Le Pen,
her
exactly.
Party,
Le Pen, completely, yes.
It's interesting. I knew in Germany they had this problem. This a lot of Russophiles there. I didn't think that France was the same though.
Yeah, but we have this love-hate.
Love-hate, okay.
France is an empire. Well, we are a former empire.
Yeah.
And so you have some part of the population that I think, by seeing what Russia is doing by trying to recreate their empire, are willing to do so. It's not about invading Algeria again or whatsoever, but it's more about they're trying to get their pride back, and we France, we should get our pride back. That's pretty much the Le Pen movement is pretty much about that, although they don't voice it like this. And on the other hand, we have the leftist, Mélenchon, who are even, I think, more pro-Russian than the extreme right, because they hate America so much that they have to love Russia, because Russia for them is fighting America. So they're never going to voice, we support Russia. But they say we support peace, we support ceasefire, we are opposing sending weapons to Ukraine. They were the one voting against. Actually, Le Pen just did not vote, and Mélenchon voted against. So, and because I think in their mind, Ukraine is not a colonial war. It's not about independence, so they don't care. And for them, and the issue for them is how to explain that. If they admit the fact that Russia in Ukraine is a colonizer, an invader, and genocider, they have to come with the fact that Soviet Union was an invader, a genocider, and a colonizer. And so they have to reframe everything in their mindset, and they are not ready to do so. So they try to avoid the question.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, it's very well explained, man. I had no idea. But I want to talk about what you're doing here now. So I just read your article recently, great article. It was on the Kursk incursion.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you tell me more about that?
Which one was?
It was your most recent article.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
there's something about
the POWs, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
No, because actually it was not the most productive trip that I've done so
you
far.
went to Kursk though?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to, but we had the last press tour, and we had to choose between POWs and going to Kursk. And to be honest, I thought it would have been more interesting to interview the POWs, because I never done a story about POWs. So it was my first one. I really wanted to do it for a long time. I could have gone to Kursk. It would have been great as well. So we had to choose. Eventually, that's my girlfriend who chose, because we are working together now.
Yeah.
So she wanted to do also the POWs. So we went for the POWs, but I really wanted to go to Kursk. At the same time, I think I would have not been able to sell the piece, because my newspaper, they have a bureau in Moscow. And I know, for instance, some French media were careful not to send their correspondent in Moscow. Not in Moscow. Careful not to send their correspondent in Kursk, because they didn't want it to risk losing their bureau in Moscow.
Of course.
So down the road, I'm not so sure I would have been able to do so. But we also worked with the 22 Brigade in Kursk direction, Ukrainian side. It was very hard to work, I would say, because it was a lot of. They were very secretive about everything, so it was really hard to dig in. Of course, the press officer was doing his job, so saying, this you cannot ask, this you cannot ask. So it was very hard to work, very hard to take pictures. So I didn't leave the region with a lot of material, so just 2 stories. So I was a bit disappointed about it, but yeah, that's how it is.
So you talked to the POWs then, right? Yeah. So I know Kyiv Independent, they had an exclusive interview,
they
video
did.
interview. I think Francis Farrell did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his work, by the way.
Me too.
Yeah. He's a great guy. I met him like a couple times in the office.
Great guy.
Great guy. Francis Farrell, if you're watching.
Exactly.
Great guy. No, but anyway, so what is like your key findings or key learnings when you talk to these POWs? What did you learn the most just by talking to them?
I don't know. They are so apathic. So apathic. It was insane. Like they were, I came for money. I don't really, I'm not really interested in politics. Also, we have to take into account the fact that those are new, contractors. They've been like in the Russian army for 3 months. So they are not like the Russian from the first hour went to fight, So, I mean, they're not really living anymore, those fighters. But so they came here for money mostly, did not really care about politics. The only interesting guy was, I did not put him in the articles because I didn't want it to, but he was a guy from Luhansk. Luhansk, went to work in Moscow. Went pretty much like, Russian side. And went back to fight for money. But, at the same time, he was like, but you have your propaganda, we have our propaganda. We tried to topple the regime in the 90s, like the coup, Gorbachev coup. I mean, not the Gorbachev coup, but the coup during Gorbachev. But we felt, what can we do? It's not like we can change things. So really apathic. Also, I'm sorry to say, those people were, you could see they were coming from very, very lower classes, very poor. I'm not saying that as a judgment. I'm just like stating the facts.
Observation, yeah.
So, for instance, like a lot of minorities.
I was gonna ask that question.
Like, yes, a lot of minorities.
So probably from the east, right? Like Yakutia or something.
Yeah,
like this,
Dagestanis.
Dagestani.
Like a guy from Abkhazia. A guy from Luhansk. Guy from Siberia. Did not see like Boryat or whatsoever.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was gonna.
No, did not see. It's not like we just talked like to 20 to 30. Not talked to 20 to 30, but we saw 20 to 30.
And how were they treated?
Also, I had this conversation with a very famous French reporter, and he told me like usually we don't interview POWs because they are not free from their talk. They cannot.
Yeah, they can't.
I mean,
freely,
they have the Ukrainian guards who are pretty much watching them,
Of course, yeah.
So I cannot. That's why I really try to avoid like any kind of topic about it. But down the road, we did like double check. Red Cross came, ICRC came, so they were able to talk to their family. But of course, like what they told us about the way they were treated were obviously done with the Ukrainian guard in the cell. So, but you could see that they were well fed.
Yeah.
Also, they just got captured. Like they've been like in prison for like 2 days, 3 days, or 2 weeks max. So it's hard to say, but down the road we know by experience and by feedback and by since like now almost 3 years of war that Russian POWs are quite well treated overall compared to the Ukrainian one who are coming back like a Holocaust survivor each time. So
what are your general thoughts like on Russian people, like in general?
At first, nothing wrong. I mean, as I said, I grew up in France. Nothing against so the Russian propaganda love now to portray France as being the most Russophobic country in the world, especially since Macron started to, being a bit tough with them, on them. I mean, although Macron is speaking a lot, but I'm not so sure he's going to do anything. Plus, now he doesn't really have a government. I mean, just did a government like recently, but not sure he's going to hold.
Yeah.
So now, and I think like we always had like this love story between France and Russia to some extent. Like Russian people love France, French people love Russia. So did not grow up with any hate against Russia. But now, I don't know, like even my Russian friends who were born and raised in the West, it's not like they are supporting it, but they are being apolitical, whatever that means. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to speak about that. That's very sad, but I'm not going to be vocal on the social media. So I don't know what is wrong with them. I don't know. I think deep inside, they all wish for Russia to win. Although they don't like the regime, it's like pretty much the opposition. I don't believe that Navalny opposition is...
It's in Navalny?
Navalny, like Navalny opposition.
Oh, okay.
According to me, they are pretty imperial. And I think they're not really against the war in in against the war in Ukraine, but pretty much against Putin. But I mean, I think if you scratch a bit, I think they think that Russia should invade Ukraine, or at least that Ukraine is Russian.
Yeah.
So nothing against them per se, but very disappointed by my friends, by the people I knew, by the Russian in general. But that's how it is. But amazed by the Ukrainian, by the way.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that is because so you had to talk to these POWs. I was wondering if you had any kind of like animosity.
No. I felt sorry for them.
Felt sorry.
I felt very sorry for them because down the road, like I'm a humanist, I think like every life are the same and equal the same, and there is no people better than anyone else. But when I was seeing those poor guys who are responsible for their choices, I'm sorry to say, I felt eventually like sorry for them because they were. And I think that's what, at the end of the day, there's a big issue with Russia is that you don't care about politics, but don't worry, politics care about you. And so if you are not like standing for your right, you're going to end up at some point on the front line being, shot at or being gotten by a drone, FPV drone. I think it's Timothy Snyder who spoke about it at some point.
Timothy Snyder. I actually ran to him on the street near.
Yeah, I saw the picture. I like a double like on it. I was like, and actually I was like, I think I even like went on the street saying, "Where is Timothy?" No, I really like what he said, and I think in the book, 40 Thoughts About Freedom. I don't remember the exact title of the book. It speaks about the fact that if you don't stand for your freedom, you're going to be, at the end of the day, sent to fight for a colonial war, imperial war, because lack of freedom can only lead to this kind of event. Like you look at Nazi Germany, you look at Soviet Union, you look at Russia, down the road, it's
like if you don't fight now, you're going to fight later, just kicking the can down the road.
Exactly. It's like pretty much, I think it was from the report of Francis and Olena Zashko when they interviewed this babushka and say, I don't care about politics. And I think that's Olena who asked, but what do you think about politics now that Ukraine, is occupying technically your land, or the fact that Russia during the counteroffensive in course is most likely going to destroy your city. And that I think that's sad that people are not. I think it's so important for people to be aware about their rights, to be aware about freedom, and be aware about fighting for it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so crazy to me how like complacent Russian people are. And how do you feel about this phrase? Because you said you're a humanist. I hear like this from Ukrainian people from time to time. There's like no such thing as a good Russian. How do you feel about that?
I mean, at first, so that's a conversation that we have a lot with my girlfriend.
She's from Western Ukraine, I imagine.
Yeah, but I'm a believer. I'm not a religious person, although I used to be. But I'm a believer, and I believe that God created us equal, and there is something good in every human being. But Russia, as a society, is morally corrupt. So nothing good can get out of Russia. Maybe some individuals, I'm not judging individuals, yes, but Russia as a society is morally corrupt and is driving itself to its own destruction. And according to me, they are akin to Nazi Germany. I have nothing against Germans, to be honest, although, I'm Jewish or whatsoever, but for me, like Nazi Germany was morally corrupt, and they had to be destroyed and defeated for Russia. Lapsus, for Germany and Germans to start being
basically have to rebuild from the bottom up.
A great society, and I think Germany before that was great, and Germany after that is great, and it's just up to Germans to keep on being great, and it's up to French to keep on being great. It's not like it's like freedom. Like I think people don't understand, and sometimes I'm very angry at French people, very angry at Europeans, Westerners. We can also speak about Americans. Like, don't you realize that freedom is so precious and so fragile that you are ready just to get rid of it for what? Because you're scared of something, because of economy, because of this, because of that? No, freedom doesn't mean that you're going to have a good life. But freedom means that you're going to choose for your life. That's it. And so I think freedom is very precious and very important. So I do believe that you might have good individual who are Russians. For instance, like I think like someone like Ignatius, if I don't mistaken, is from a Russian origin.
Yeah.
For me, he's a righteous. He's a righteous man. And when I'm saying righteous, like for me, is as good as the person that saved Jews during the World War II.
No.
Because he went to save people.
Yeah, he did evacuations. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he's from a Russian origin, so no problem with that. But if you are not actively fighting against Russia nowadays, and if you are not actively, I'm not saying that you have to go on the battlefield, but if you're not fighting, at least, in your daily life, social media, whatsoever, no, I think you're morally corrupt.
Yeah. And what is interesting to me, so you're Jewish, right? Yeah. And you lived in Israel, you said. So what motivates you to report on Ukraine when there's a war going on in Israel?
So I went to Israel to report. We went in November this year. So first of all, like I'm Jewish, but I'm not Israeli. That's something very important to take in account. I don't support at all the current government, and I think the current government is leading Israel to its own destruction. Because Netanyahu for me is fascist, at least not fascist, illiberal. I mean, they always speak about Orban and Trump as being his model, so you know what it means. So no, and I wanted to. So we went to the West Bank. We went, of course, all over Israel, and since I have like a decent level of Arabic, I was able like to speak a lot with Palestinians in the West Bank to do my stories. So I wrote about it. I wanted to go to Gaza, but I mean, we could not go to Gaza, obviously. And I think the reason why is that after this trip, I felt very, very uncomfortable because I'm too close to the situation. Now I'm very close to Ukraine as well, so it's kind of paradoxal. And I feel very close to Ukraine, but in Ukraine, you really have this sense of good against evil. When in Israel, you have a lot of gray area, which are very hard to, and I'm not saying that to justify what Israel is doing at all. Like I'm very horrified by what's happening and also horrified by what's happening now in Lebanon. So I'm really condemning anything that Israel is doing against the Gazawi, although I can understand that the country has to defend itself after October 7. But at the same time, I think everyone is saying that October 7, like if you know a bit the history of the country, you know that October 7 is not out of nowhere, but it's not justified neither. So you have to dive into this very shallow water, which is very hard. It was very hard for me. So I did that. I wrote. I'm planning to go back soon, but it's very hard for me to write about it because I have to write against myself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because I love my people. I also believe that Israel should exist, and that's important for Israel to have, for the Jews to have a place to live. And anyway, there is no other places for a lot of Jews because a lot of them got kicked out from Arabic countries or from Europe. But at the same time, I cannot comprehend compromise myself with what's happening. So writing against yourself is hard. And fighting against yourself is hard. And
I talked to a journalist as well. Do you know Tom Much?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tom, and he did some work in Israel as well, and asked him, like, what is the difference? And he was saying in Israel, it's really hard to report on stuff. Yeah. Because there's a lot of emotions are running high. Yeah. And you have to be careful what you say. You have to be careful what you print. And yeah, both sides will, yeah. Yeah,
myself, like I wrote about stories about, discrimination within the Israeli society. I wrote about war crimes, and I received a lot of hate from family, even family members and friends, because I was speaking about Israel in the wrong. I mean, not in the wrong way, but I was just like telling the truth. Sorry about that, So yeah, it's complicated, I must say.
And then he also said that in Ukraine, it's easier to get access to places. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So if you want like a good story, you can.
But you cannot go to Gaza. You cannot go to the north. I mean, what is the point? And I mean, like Israelis officials are doing that for that purpose. That Ukraine needs the world to know about what's happening. Israel, they try to avoid people to know about what's happening. Yeah. And so
they prefer to like stay in their bubble, it seems. Yeah. But it's very true what you're saying, how it's kind of like it's clear what's going on in Ukraine. Russia is invading Ukraine, so Russia's bad, Ukraine is good. So there's not really any other angle you can report on. I mean, I guess you can put like for you said you're a humanist, and you feel bad for these Russian POWs. That might be a little controversial here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like as bad.
I mean, at the same time, they made the choice. They signed the contract. They are there. They're on foot. I mean, sorry for them for their, like, I don't know. It's like if you meet someone that made like a wrong choice in his life and you're like, well, sorry for you, guy. But think twice,
Yeah. But it's also interesting because these were conscripts in Russia, so in Kursk. And then they got captured while they're in Russia. They didn't even invade Ukraine at this point. Yeah.
So it's even, true. Well, like it's like the conscript. Like some of them were contractors, some of them were conscripts. When like the conscript is 19 years old from Dagestan. I mean, like the guy doesn't know about politics. He works in a garage in I don't know where in Dagestan. Well, I mean, like you feel sorry for him because wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
But for contractors who they knew that they were going to fight in Ukraine at some point. No, I don't feel sorry for them. I mean, no.
Oh, yeah. And so what do you think about the current phase of the war right now, state of the war?
I don't know, to be honest.
Because, the Kursk, it was like definitely a morale boost. But, you hear bad news coming from Pokrovsk.
Situation is bad in the east, for sure.
Yeah.
The situation always been bad in the east.
But it's true,
I mean, like now it's very bad, I would say. But I don't know. I don't want like to do, wrath analysis. I follow everything all the time, but it's hard for me to know. It's hard to know also what would be like the real aftermath of the Kursk operation, because I think a lot of people are, settling, the aftermath. When I think we still need to wait to see exactly what were the consequences of this offensive on Russian army, Russian resources. So I don't know, to be honest. And also, I don't know what is the strategy of the Ukrainians. I know that there is a lot of problem in the east because of just bad rotation, not enough ammunition, not enough men, bad training, glide bombs, Russian pushing hard. So I don't know if it's like a strategy. I don't know if it's because like the situation is very bad in the Ukrainian army, or if it's both. Maybe I think it's always a bit of both. I don't think that the Ukrainian, they want to have another Bakhmut. I'm not so sure they are ready like to sacrifice men and supply on other, making Pokov some kind of Bakhmut. I'm not so sure about that.
But I was actually talking to Sivdiv recently. You know Sivdiv, right? We talked about him earlier. And he was saying like in Pokrovsk, I believe it was, Pokrovsk he was talking about. He said they're just like, Russians are losing so many people there. It's like another Bakhmut already. Like every day, hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah, and I think, or maybe I'm wrong, so I don't know, because I'm not a military expert. But to me, it seems like Ukraine is just going to use Donbass as a cemetery for Russian army, and just like a nail in the coffin of the Russian Empire. And they will get Donbass, I guess, at some point if they keep on doing like this. But they would collapse with it. So I guess be my guest, So I don't know. Like, to be honest, like what is the strategy? But what issue is like Russia is losing a lot and a lot and a lot. Of course, I think we will know after the US election. And I think the Russians are pushing so hard because they want to have as much as possible before the US election. And I think the Ukrainian also are pushing hard, like, taking Kursk, attacking in the rear, also to be in a position of power when, let's say, they have negotiation,
Well, of course, because if Russia wants Kursk back, obviously they can try to take it, but they're not successful at it.
Exactly.
So they would need to negotiate something in exchange for Kursk.
But the same, so exactly. So, but we'll see. And I think U.S. election is going to be like the denominator, which is going to give us like the answer of all our questions, I think.
I think so as well. And what are your predictions?
I don't know. I think Harris has chances. I see that in Pennsylvania, she might win it. Wisconsin as well, Michigan as well. So if she has like the 3 swing states.
Yeah, I don't really believe these preliminary polls. Like ever since, was it 2016 Clinton, with Hillary Clinton? I thought she was a lock.
I don't know neither, but at the same time, we discussed about it like earlier. But I was watching last election, and I was just watching in Michigan. Like Biden won Michigan by 3,000-4,000 votes. So at least like the forecast I see, like I really like to follow The Hill, which I think, according to me, is one of the best U.S. politics media. They have they have all the polls, like they have like more than 200 polls, and then are just like making the sum of all of them. And still now, like Harris has like 2-3%, but I think we'll see in Pennsylvania, to be honest.
It's so crazy how much support he still has. He's so unhinged. They're eating the dogs.
Yeah, but I think a part of the, and I'm not saying that against Americans. Far from that. Actually, I really love Americans, but I think a big part of the American society is morally corrupt. There's something deeply wrong about what's happening, and it could be funny if it did not have so much implication in the lives of so many people, especially in Ukraine, and also Europe, because I believe if Ukraine loses the war, is the end of EU to start with. I think it's the end of American hegemony as well. And I think that people want America great. They don't really understand that if Ukraine loses, you lose. Yeah. That's over. And China is watching, by the way. So be careful about your deterrence, pretty much. Let's put it that way. So, because I don't know, if America lost in Iraq, then Afghanistan, then Ukraine, doesn't look good, I would say. So I believe is like a tragedy to some extent, and also what I find so sad, and I speak also as a believer, because I had and still have a lot of friends who are evangelicals, Christian, great people, good fathers, good husbands, backbone of America, as we say. I don't know, like hardworking people,
Yeah, salt of the earth.
So yeah, exactly. And it's not like they vote for Trump. I could understand that you vote for Trump, pro-life, whatsoever. As if you're a Christian, I can understand where you come from.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they are not voting for him; they are worshiping him if he was the Messiah. And if you don't support Trump, well, you're not really a Christian or a believer whatsoever. And I saw what he said about also like anti-Semitism remark from Trump, like lately saying, "Oh, if I lose the election, it will be because of the Jews, because the Jews are supporting Harris, and Israel will be destroyed." And I'm just like, coming from evangelicals who are usually quite you would like loving Jews and whatsoever, like it's like I don't understand. And what I don't understand is like how, as a believer, that you are supposed to have a moral. I think like everyone has a moral, like and I think actually, to be honest, the best people I ever met were atheists who did not need to have a God to be a good person, But those people who are claiming like to do what is right, well, they are doing deeply what is wrong. So for me, it's like
from my experience, like as an American, I understand. American people, they're quite selfish. It's always like me. What's going on in my country? Why are we helping other people? Us. Yeah, it seems like there's like a lot of that going on. And I have a friend. He messaged me saying like, I hope you're safe in Ukraine, but I don't really agree that the U.S. should fund this war. There's a lot of problems in the U.S. My girlfriend's her family's from Myanmar. Why aren't we helping Myanmar right now? What's going on
because
over there?
They're not doing that for Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like what Americans don't understand. I'm sorry to say, Americans don't understand that the money they are giving is not for Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like the money is like, first of all, deterrence against Russia. Second of all, if Russia wins, we are not so sure about the sake of Europe. And hear me out. We are the biggest market for America. Third, deterrence against China. Fourth, all the money we send is not sent to Ukraine. It's sent to the US to create weapons, to buy weapons, so it creates jobs. Like US is just sending like freaking old weapons to Ukraine. I mean, they are giving the ATACMS, they are giving the HIMARS. It's great, but it costs less than freaking 1% of the freaking federal budget. You are just buying yourself deterrence, power, and respect with less than 1% of the freaking GDP. And I'm going to tell you a scoop. If America wants to solve all the issues, fentanyl, all of that, there is money. The problem in America is greed. And if there is like more taxes on the super high fortune, well, maybe we will be able like to create more jobs, to fight against fentanyl pandemia, fighting against all those issues. But what Trump is offering, lowering the taxes on the rich. So where is the logic here? So telling you, like, I think the war in Ukraine for America is the best deal ever. You buy yourself deterrent respect for less than 1% of the federal budget, and it costs less than Iraq and Afghanistan. And plus that, if you let the Ukrainians do the war, they might win.
Yeah, we have this phrase in English. It's temporary embarrassed to millionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it means that you have this mentality that you're going to vote against your interests now when it comes to, I guess, policy and economics. But in the future, it will benefit you. But the future may not happen of you being a millionaire to get to these benefits that these tax cuts and stuff like this. So there's a lot of people with this mentality, like they think they're going to make it big,
but they are not going to make it.
Yeah, that's sort of. Yeah.
I'm sorry to like. I believe in the American dream, no problem. I'm sure that you have individuals who are going to be able to become millionaire whatsoever, but 99% of you guys, we're just going to stay poor, and it's fine. You know? I mean, as long as we're not like being too poor. But what I'm saying is that I know like this mentality of like this American dream. Pretty much, one day I will make it. So I don't want to have like high taxes when I make it. But you're not making it at the moment. So next election maybe in 4 years. So I don't know. Like that's something maybe for me as a French person hard to understand. And I say that with a lot of love for American people, a lot of love for America. And I think I'm not like the usual French guy who hate America. I can have like my disagreement about American foreign policy, for instance, as much as I do with French one, trust me. But overall, I do believe that America maybe is not now, but can be and should be still a beacon of freedom. Something that we want to aspire for it, like strong institution. And like if you reflect from the last few years, Trump went so hard on the institutions, and yet the institution prevailed. I'm not so sure that the institution is going to prevail with another term of Trump. We'll see about that. But America is so strong that, they prevailed. Institution prevailed. So the model is working. And by the way, the model that Russia wants to destroy is liberal democracy like America. So either, you're with us or against us.
Yeah, just like we were sold on this like meritocracy. You work hard, you do a good job, and then you're going to make a lot of money. But it's like not always the case if the system is rigged against you. And
yeah, but the problem is like basic sociology show you that is maybe true for individual, but it's not true for the mass.
Yeah,
that's it. I mean, it's great if you can make it, but most of us are not going to. We're speaking about businesses. Myself, I don't want to become a billionaire, for instance. Otherwise, I will be working back. I will be still working in Geneva, to be honest, instead of risking my life for journalism. But I do it also because of I believe that journalism is so important for democracy and freedom, and that's my way. Because I'm not brave enough to fight on the front line to, bring my stone to the edifice. Can we say that in English?
What?
To bring my stone to the edifice, like to bringing my share.
Oh, bring share. Okay, no, we don't say that.
Like, So, but no, like basic sociology show you. I don't want to be too French, but like if you look Pierre Bourdieu when he speak about the reproduction of elite. Well, I mean, if your parents are rich, you're going to be rich. If your parents are poor, well, most likely you're going to be poor.
Yeah. It's a tough pill to swallow sometimes.
Sorry about that, but that's kind of true. But I'm sure a lot of people, like some people are going to make it and good for them. But still, paying taxes is good.
Yeah, so we're running short on time, but I have a question that I want to ask you. So what is something that you feel like is underreported right now in Ukraine that more people should know?
Actually, that's an interesting question because we always focus on war in Ukraine, which I understand there is a war going on. But myself, like since I've been working here, so I'm not a crazy frontliner. I go to the front line, but I'm not like, junkie, like a war reporter junkie at all, actually. Yeah. But I think it's important to go, and I literally shit my pants each time I go. But what I try to do is like 50-50. Like I do 50% frontline politics, like a lot of frontline, and 50% I try to speak about the culture. And I try to speak about the diversity of Ukraine. And for instance, like the Kyiv Independent, they started this show like Dare to Ukraine with Masha. Yeah. And I think that's great to show that Ukraine is not only about war, that Ukraine is also a wonderful country with a lot of diversity, a lot of different ethnicities, Hutsul, Tata, Jews.
I was actually supposed to be a co-host on that show, but
true.
That's the one.
Yeah, you told me. And I think what is underreported, I would say, is what is Ukraine. I would say as a country, the people, the rich culture, the food. Food is amazing. The landscape, the nature. So yeah, like if anyone wants to hire me to be critique culinaire, like how you say, like cuisine critique, I love to that. I love to eat.
Yeah. Have you traveled like throughout Ukraine? Because you said you love
much.
like, okay, because before the war, I used to go to like Skadovsk, like on vacation 2 summers in a row before the war.
Skadovsk, where is that?
Skadovsk, it's southern Ukraine in Kherson region, below Kherson. And there's an island just south.
Oh, yeah. No, never
been. It's called like Zharlhach, and they call it the Maldives of Ukraine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I used to love going there.
It's occupied now.
It's occupied, yeah.
It's occupied.
So before the war, I used to go there. My ex-girlfriend and I used to camp on the island.
Oh, so nice.
Crystal clear water, a lot of jellyfish, but it was so nice there, and it's so sad that it's occupied. And I really love the diversity, especially in the Kherson region.
Yeah.
There's a lot of diversity there. They have like that pink salt lake.
Yeah.
They have sand dunes.
Yeah.
They have like this island. Yeah.
The watermelon.
Yeah, watermelon.
Don't forget about the watermelon.
Kherson watermelon.
I think like in terms of landscapes, in terms of nature, Ukraine is wonderful. Like you have the mountain, you have the Carpathian, you have Odessa, you have the sea, you have also the Danube Triangle, where we have the Venice of Ukraine. What is the name of the city?
Venice of Ukraine. I never heard that.
It's like a city in the triangle, the Danube Triangle. I will find the name for you. And it's beautiful there, and also like Kyiv is wonderful. But also you have Lviv, which is more like Austro-Hungarian influence.
Yeah.
Ivano-Frankivsk. Great city. I think I'm going to end up living in Ivano-Frankivsk. Then even like I'm going to tell you, like even Donbass is not bad. I really like it. You have this brutality in the beauty. You know what I'm saying? In the sense that you have like those huge brutalist Soviet buildings, the small chata of the 19th century or early 20th century, and also like I grew up in the north of Europe. I mean, north of Belgium, north of Europe, where we used to have a lot of mines, and so we have pretty much the same landscape with the terril. I don't know how you say that. It's like where you put all the coal.
It's like what do you mean, like a coal mine or like?
It's like coal mine, and then you take all the dirt from the coal.
Okay.
And then it create like a small
a mound, maybe.
Small mountains, like mounds, in Dobropila, for instance, they have huge one there.
Okay.
And I think there is something very beautiful in Donbass. I mean, not anymore, I guess, now because everything been destroyed. But it's going to be.
This might be a controversial opinion, but I actually kind of like the brutalist buildings, like here in Ukraine. I don't know.
When it's well done, it's nice.
Have you seen the flying saucer near Lubitska Metro?
Yeah. But I mean, when it's like well done and it's not like too Khochevka, it can be interesting when it comes to the architecture, but not too much of it.
Have you seen the library near Dmivska? I really love that building.
I lived in Dmivska.
Yeah.
And I just left because they did not have a metro station, and they just reopened yesterday.
Really?
So I just left my place because I was like, okay, too tired to walk to Palace Ukraina every day.
Like 2 weeks ago, I was at Dmivska. I paid and I went down there to sit, and I was waiting for the train. I'm like, it hasn't showed up yet. And I thought it was on the opposite track. I'm like, oh, maybe they're just using one track today.
Yeah.
And I go on it and I go the opposite way, and I'm like, oh, it's not working.
But
I guess it's
I was like, blaming Klitschko for all my troubles. He was my scapegoat for the last, 2-3 months. But now they reopened it, which is great. But now I'm looking for an apartment in the city center. If someone knows some apartment,
I'm also looking for an apartment, guys. So message me first.
I think we can do like a whole podcast about like looking for an apartment in Kyiv. Jesus.
But I guess it's a good place to end it. Is there something that you want to discuss that we didn't discuss?
I don't know. I think we discuss a lot. I don't know. Maybe you have a last question for me?
A last question. Okay. So once the war ends, are you still going to stay in Ukraine?
I think so, yes. Because I think it would be even more interesting to cover Ukraine after the war. Because first of all, I believe in the victory, first and foremost. So I believe that when Ukraine is going to win the war, and when I'm saying that, I'm not saying as a naive optimist. I really believe that Ukraine is going to win the war. I don't know how. I think most likely going to come from a collapse of Russia or whatsoever. I mean, let's not forget that Russia, when people say, oh, Russia cannot be defeated, I'm just like, well, I mean, their empire collapsed twice in the 20th century, so I'm betting maybe for a third one soon, because they're making the same mistakes. imperial war, bad resource management, and then they collapse.
Yeah.
So I believe that is going to happen like this. Then Ukraine is going to join EU. I really believe so. And I just want to see how the country is going to be rebuilt. Also, I'm very interested about how they're going to deal with their memory, the memory of the war. Is going to be fascinating. Also, you're going to have less journalists, so less competition.
Good. Good for you.
Please.
That's why you want victory, huh?
Leave us work. No, I'm kidding. So yes, and then the idea would be to have an airport in Kyiv, and then maybe like keep on reporting other countries. I'm planning to go to Georgia for the election.
Okay.
So post-Soviet countries, but I also want to work a bit more in the Middle East. Like I'm planning to maybe go to Idlib to report on Russia bombing the area, because we tend to forget that Russia is still like heavily bombing the Idlib region of Syria. So that's like I want to stay in Ukraine as a base, keep on writing, keep on reporting about.
So Ukraine is your home then?
Yeah. I guess that I'm not against the idea of coming back at some point in the West, because to be honest, I don't know how long I'm going to be a journalist, because it's not that, in terms of money, it's not bad, but in terms of energy, in terms of everything, is so tiring.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long I'm going to be able to hold that pace, to be honest. But I mean, we do that by passion. Also, I want to have a family, so I'm not so sure I'm going to go from one front line to another if I'm a father.
Yeah.
So yes. So for now, I do it, and then I would just become like a boring French political correspondent sitting, I don't know, in Zoloty Vorota, drinking wine, saying, well, I was there in 2022. Okay. So that's how I want to end up.
You're halfway there, man.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, okay, I guess it's a good place to end it. So I'll sign. Oh, if you want to plug your social medias or any organization that you want to plug?
No, just like my Instagram, I have this channel. I'm sorry, in French, where I speak a lot about Ukraine, but not
like, you can tell them to the camera, like, yeah. So just tell people,
but you can follow me on Joseph Roche on Instagram mostly, and I will try to make maybe some content in English. I don't guarantee that at all, but let's do.
Okay, so I'm going to sign off right now. So thanks at home for watching this episode of Expats in Ukraine. If you like this episode, give it a thumbs up, give a comment if you want to ask Joseph Roche a question. And so I'll be watching live, and I'll try to convince Joseph Roche to watch live with me as well. So leave a comment, we can chat, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more episodes of Expats in Ukraine in the future. But thank you so much for coming on the channel.
Thank you for having me.
What I like to do is like shake the hand of the guests.
Yes.
So come on down. All right.